Chapter 34. The man who shames you for revealing your body isn't bothered by your revealed body. He's bothered that you're unashamed of revealing your body. So he shames you to try to break you because broken women are the pillars men use to uphold patriarchy. Farida D. The cops put me in a special room in the ER that's for prisoners. They decided that I wasn't going to run, so they uncuffed me. A bloke came in with a wheelchair and they took me around to get all sorts of scans. About time. My ribs were scanned and my head to make sure I didn't catch a concussion. Probably also to see if my brain wasn't shitting itself with a tumour or something else. I never heard more about the results, so I guess I was fine. While waiting, the young cop asked me casual questions. I answered and said that I used to live in Newcastle. He was trying to get an address out of me. I didn't want to admit that I was quite wealthy on paper. I just said my apartment was near the beach. He eventually looked it up and came to ask if that was my address. Later on, they put my beach town apartment address on my paperwork, even though I didn't live there. I guess that was an innocent enough inquiry. They had my shit. Why didn't they look at my license? Or did they have my shit? I asked about my van. I'd heard that they'd driven it to the station and it was in lockup. These coppers didn't know where the van was. I started to melt down a bit at that. If it was still in the rest stop, they'd steal it for sure. And then they'd kidnap me and it'd look like I went on a runner. It was the lowest I'd felt for ages. I'd kissed goodbye all my worldly possessions and my life. Eventually one of the coppers found out that it was parked outside. I apologised and observed, well, that's why I'm in here, in relation to my mini meltdown a moment ago. He agreed. Technically, though, I had every right to be upset that no one was telling me shit about my van. It made me crazier. No one should be in this position. Taser and the young'un were talking about their exes causing problems. The young cop called her a Karen. He was bitching about his ex too. Again, I figured they have that manosphere bloke's advice type bitch with me because they know I'm a feminist. This they'd learnt from being on the tracking app. Every fuckhead with an axe to grind seemed to be being fed an axe and a reason from the super dorks. This is how you bring down world leaders, I realised. I was just a test case. There was a nice Indian male nurse who took my obs. I didn't realise that nice nurses were going to be few and far between in a minute. A female nurse came in and took my bloods, and she treated me like a human too. Such a difference from the cop shop. The male nurse got me a toothbrush and toothpaste when I asked, and even a cheese sandwich and some juice. While waiting for the psych assessor, the two cops stood outside my room and talked to a different nurse who showed up. They told her the whole dramatic story from their point of view. I could only catch parts of it from my position on the bed, under a blanket. They said I was living in my van. They had to search the van. I heard the nurse say, yuck. I figured my van interior stunk or something, probably from the fear sweat. Or maybe I did when they had to take me down. I also heard her say, she just needs a home, so maybe she was a nice one too. The cops replied, she already has a home. I wanted to go to the window and say, I rent it out for money, so I'm not taking your tax money on the dole, mate. What would be the point? She asked if there were drugs. Taser cop said, not that we know of, with a sneer of suspicion. The blood nurse happened to walk by and said, it came back negative. I was proud of that, proved him wrong. A very small and powerful older woman came in. She was the psych assessor. There was a very sweet, slow-talking young woman student with her. I let loose on the whole story, cried my guts out to a point of breathless panic attack. The young student nurse looked so sad for me. She was a real one. The psych nurse said very slowly and obviously, the Pacific Highway is very busy, you know, in answer to the Pokemon game. And when I talked about the IBA footage, she said, so you think there's revenge porn of you online, but you haven't seen it. Repeating it like this was meant to make me see how ridiculous that was. It wasn't good. I gave her the benefit of the doubt and figured she had my best interests at heart. This wasn't good, though. I was getting no help. but I'd get the help I expected when I opted to come here. The cops were standing in the door listening to all this. I didn't appreciate this. They didn't deserve to hear. I quietly said, in the cop shop, I was terrified of something happening to me. I was even dead scared that these guys were going to hand me over to some gangsters on the way here. They deserved to hear that. Let them know that that fucking joke they told landed badly with me. I suspected them of being rapists like the gangsters. And besides all the shit in the Taree cop shop, there was the highway patrol cop experience. There are corrupt cops, boys. The mental health nurse slowly said, I think you need to go into the mental health unit. What do you think? I, of course, agreed. I signed some paperwork about being sectioned and my rights as such. I was signing away my freedom, but I had no choice. Imagine if I went outside into the Taree town, full of gromity gangsters and general amateurs. I'd have to stay in Taree till my court date and report each day. What a nightmare. Being in here was better. Or was it? The cop eventually left as they figured I was safely going to stay. I even thanked them. The young cop said, if you're nice to us, we'll be nice to you. Yes, sure, buddy. I have to be polite to everyone I come in contact with at the moment to ensure my survival. They made some other sarcastic comment about not having anything to do, so they had all the time in the world to wait around here with me. Okay, leave it out. I was no longer your fucking problem, so be happy about that. I felt a presence and looked up to see a swarthy-looking male in his 50s through the little observation window. He had glasses on his nose and was looking down through them, reading my chart. Someone went past and said, "You're down here again?" I really didn't like his poking around looking at my chart before coming in and introducing himself. He'd taken over the watch outside my room in case I did a runner. He wore civvies, denim vest, combat-style pants and jackboots, faded forearm tats. He looked like a biker or an ex-soldier who still dressed like one. Or he was trying very hard to look like a biker or an ex-soldier. He saw me watching him, so he came in to introduce himself. His name was Paolo, and he was a psych nurse. Here's a summary of things this guy had to say. Did someone put something in your drink? To which I replied, I was raped back in 2006. He quickly changed the subject. He didn't want to know about the rape. There's no way someone your age is schizophrenic. That manifests in teenage years, which I took as him implying there was nothing wrong with me, like I was playing along to get sectioned. He talked about how he'd been in trouble with the cops to try and identify with me. He told me how his wife had put an AVO over him because he'd gotten angry with her friend for getting angry with his daughter. He said the cops stopped him from going to his home and he had to move out. I did not like his energy, the way he was dumping on me, and I'd had an absolute gutful of these fucking males bitching about their problems to me, like I was to blame for them because I was a feminist. I said maybe your wife was scared. Women don't put out AVOs for no reason. I wanted to shut the conversation down. He went and put his chair outside again. An Islander orderly went past and he said to him, "Are you down here to take photos?" I froze. Some hospital worker, male of course, walked past him and said, "She's covered in blankets." Paul called out, "Doesn't it give you the shits?" They had this whole exchange in front of me, in front of the whole busy staff of ER. There was no one out there who gave a shit about the fact there were rapist members of staff and they were looking at doing this to me. A very big, very ugly security guard with acne-scarred face, bitch hips, and a fat ass came and sat next to him. There were various other security guards gathering as well. The ugly one said to them, something, "Then I'm going to fuck the shit out of her." He also said, "I'm not going to go down on her though." Press pause. Aside from the horror of this happening within my earshot, I wanted to jump out of bed and yell at him. I've never had an STD in my life, you ignorant fuck. Just because I'm sex positive and have had lots of casual lovers doesn't mean I'm a walking VD carrier. And just because some nobodies who uploaded IBA footage of me and said I had a smelly vagina, this can only be a good thing. In what fucking universe would I want you to orally rape me, you smashed crab-looking fucker? I lay in bed, frozen. Even if I wanted to fight or fly, I couldn't. I was effectively an incarcerated person. It goes to show when Joe Public is installed as cops to watch guard over a person, they immediately turn unethical. They have no standards to answer for, so this is what happens. How many other women had they done this to? Or was it just that they could show that I had consensually shared porn with them online, so that was considered consent? I should have flipped out, and that would have meant the cops would have had to come back, cuff me, and watch me. I wasn't thinking straight. If I ran out of there, they'd have to send me back to the watch house for the night. Ironically, I'd be safer there. I just hoped against hope that it was all talk. I hoped if I could stay up, then I could yell and scream if someone openly came in to rape me. I heard another male hospital worker say, "Thank you, Sister Sue." She was the mental health nurse who'd helped me out in the watch house. Had she delivered me into their hands knowingly? This was a fucking nightmare. How many times have I added those words now? I shouldn't name things as nightmares because another worse one comes along, which makes the Loy, BKK and the Sydney airport way preferable to where I found myself right now. I heard Ugly say, "There are 4 doctors who are into it. I told the girls 2 and they don't mind." I thought this was a standard fucking nightmare, but it turned out that it was a whole ER conspiracy nightmare. I had thought I was safe amongst beautiful healthcare workers whose brief is to do no harm and who have to treat you like a human with respect and decency. Well, I didn't even mind if they spoke to me disrespectfully because I threatened their little cop mates, but they can't fucking rape me, can they? A spoon-faced looking Irish doctor kept walking past and doing things outside my room. I wondered if he was one of the doctors that was going to rape me later. Such pleasant thoughts I was having. I cursed his spoon-faced mug out loud to no one in earshot. A young Asian girl in scrubs came and stood outside my room, looked in, got on her phone, did her thing, and walked off. How nice of her. Fuck this place. The security guards left and it was just Paul sitting there. I called him into the room and sat up. Carefully and calmly, I sat on the side of the bed and said to him, Carefully and calmly, I sat on the side of the bed with my back to him because I didn't want to look at his ugly monobrow and said, "I heard you say to the orderly that they were going to take photos. And I heard you say to that other guy about how pissed off that I was covered in blankets. And I heard you say to that other guy about how pissed off you were that I was covered in blankets. I've heard you all talking out there about me like I'm a non-person. And I've had to listen to you bitch about your ex." What he said next should have made me laugh out loud at what a fucking dick he was. Except he wasn't just a dick, he was a threat with a dick. No, I get on with my ex. I cut him off and said, "I don't care. I don't want to hear about people's stupid relationships. I'm really struggling here." He had nothing to say to that because he's not very good at damage control, at actually talking to mental health patients, at playing along and gaining my trust. Again, another hopeless fucking Joe Public who was no good at crime but thought he'd give it a go. He went away and came back with a pill for me. Clodiopin, he said. Clothiopin, he said. I knew I shouldn't take it, but I did anyway because I wanted to calm down. It was in the back of my mind that if it was like Rohypnol or something, at least I wouldn't remember the rape they had planned. All this seemed like my only option. There were other options, but my broken body and spirit couldn't find them, couldn't access them. I couldn't save myself. I said, "This won't work on me. I'm so full of adrenaline. It won't put me out." He said some shit to calm me down, but it didn't. I was too tired to protest, too tired to fight. He got a young Asian nurse to sit on in his chair and keep watch of me. Someone had to do it because I was still an incarcerated person. I heard him say to her something about taking photographs. So she was going to document the rape. Another nurse spoke to the Asian nurse and said something like, "If you ever feel in danger, walk away." Was the danger from me or was the danger from all the rapists? I'm guessing it was the latter. What a fucking monster of a nurse to know it was going on. Not as much of a monster as monobrow, bitch hips, ugly one and ugly two, an islander sex pest, but still complicit in a gang rape of me in an ER section of a hospital in Australia. I find it so unreal that I'm actually saying that sentence. We don't think things like that happen in our country. There's sex pests among the amazing trauma and healthcare workers for sure. But this was like something had cracked open the worst traits in otherwise good people that are doctors and nurses. Well, except for the security guards. I would expect that security guards in hospitals get into their line of work specifically because they're in contact with vulnerable women and can make contact with them when they're wearing nothing but a nightie. This is some Francis Farmer shit, and we all should believe that it fully goes on. I lay back on the bed and put the blanket over my head. The bed was tilted up at the head, so I was half sitting up, half lying. I fought sleep so hard and lost.